Well, here we are. You know, it was awfully nice of you to come join me, Gohan.
I never really had a choice. You basically kidnapped me.
Oh, come on, Gohan. You can't kidnap your own kid.
I don't know if that's true. I'll have to read up on that.
Sorry, Gohan. No books here. Or internet. Only this room and the void.
Does it do that all the time?
Oh, yeah. But only if you say the word void.
Okay, well, we're gonna avoid that word for now. Why?
Alright, Gohan. First thing we're gonna do is focus on getting you Super Saiyan. Now, it won't be easy because Krillin's not here to die for you.
Gambling pretty hard that there's at least one Team 4-Star fan in the audience. Welcome to WYCD Wicked. Good to see y'all here. That stands, of course, for What You Can Do. We've got Wicked Foxy Dragon. We've got Rustbox, Lawrence St. Laurent. Good to see all y'all, man. I'm telling you. Well, thank you for being patient with me yesterday. Had some rather serious family stuff. Everybody's okay, thankfully. And also had some pretty channel-changing revelations when looking into a few things. Thought I'd tell you about it up front, because the way we're going to do things is going to change a little bit. One hopes for the better. Every 3 months, you have an opportunity to look at what 1/4 of a year looks like. You might say, well, every 2 months you have... Look, it's tradition. Well, this channel's been going at the pace it's been going for 3 months. Looking at the numbers, 2 things are clear. Also looking at my bank account, 2 things are clear. Number one, my initial estimate that I would have until the end of June to get really, really serious about making money. This thing's got to get profitable faster than that. Doesn't have to be a, what do you call it? Doesn't have to be a money-making machine, but it has to stop costing money soon. Fair enough. Thing number 2 comes down to this. We need more people here to do more fun things. I have no doubt that the handful of people that were here in the beginning, I'm talking people like Patrick Kibador, Lawrence St. Laurent, Wicked Foxy Dragon, the whole crew, Wireless Mike, Rustbox, everybody. I have no doubt that you guys have already genuinely affected the way things have gone in American politics. Not by yourselves. None of this will ever be done in isolation. But I do believe you have had an effect. But sort of the fun of organizing as entertainment, that comes from getting to see your participation reflected in the real world. And it's going to happen faster and more clearly if we have more people. That's also going to solve the money-making problem. The business model of this thing is not to take advertisers. It's to let YouTube ads, which I, by design, have no control over. It's to let those take care of the majority of the financing. Which, again, means we need more people. I'm going to talk with the mod, soon to be mods. One hopes, because you can't put it all on one fan. But we're going to talk about structure, certainly. When it comes to the chat, we've already had some discussions. But more to the point, the structure of the videos you're going to see coming out of here. First of all, I hope you like the changes that are coming. We're going to go long streams, very long streams, so people don't have to feel bad about popping in and out whenever they want, because this stream's going, baby, like a TV channel. And we're going to do short clips. Why is that? Because the majority of views for the majority of political YouTube clips are within 3 minutes. As in, people view the first 3 minutes of the clip, and then they're out skis. That's fine if you're the majority report and you're just trying to sell somebody on political expertise. But this right here, the functional part comes at the end. You have to understand the situation, and then you have to know what you can do about it. And you can't really effectively communicate that out of order. So I'm going to be looking for a way to take the long, natural takes you guys get in the live stream, the Wicked Senate sees. Boil those down. 3 minutes. Good God almighty. We might go with 5 for the sake of sanity, but that's what you can expect to see. So, what you see in the live is going to be very different, at least for the next week or so, from what you see in the clips, in the VOD. Also, we're going to start doing just wild shit on the streams. There's two reasons. Number one being, of course, just to attract an audience. You know, P.T. Barnum putting pebbles down or putting bricks down at the street corner, then going and picking them up until a crowd was following him to find out why he was doing this. It was to advertise. That's what we're going to do. However, I will do my best to clearly communicate to you when it's an unusual show. So if you're not in the mood for some nonsense, you can skip it if you want. I tell you all this because you all represent the core audience I want to build. If the channel skews in such a way in the pursuit of growing that audience that you no longer like it, I want to hear from you specifically. You're the kind of person that just got a notification that we went live. And you said, good, I'm excited about that. I want to see what's going on today. That is the audience I want to please, first and foremost, because that is what I want to always be the core audience. So keep me informed. You've got wickednetwork.com you can contact me at. That in and of itself was a suggestion from one such audience member. You've got the YouTube page. Pretty soon you're going to have social media. God help me, my mom was probably going to find this channel, but that's the price you got to pay, I guess. So keep me informed if you don't like the amount of silly stuff we start doing. To that note, this stream's going to be pretty normal as far as the new streams go. This stream's going to be a straightforward talking about what we can do to affect change in the United States, to affect change around the world, etc., etc. I'm going to do a stream in a little bit where we talk about Michigan's Proposition number 1 from 2018. And I'm going to do that while enjoying the benefits of Proposition number 1. Decent chance we're going to get about 20 minutes into it, and I'll have to throw in the towel. However, watching me struggle to get through a coherent sentence, because I'll tell you, I talk a big game. I don't have the greatest tolerance on earth. Might be worth a laugh, and at the very least, it'll make for some good clips. So with that said, I'm going to start just recording the whole of this stream. I'm going to chop it up later. The VOD, expect to see up much, much later, because now we're going to have to edit it down in the new style. And expect to see the core of what you're interested in, if you're here now, appear in the live stream. Because the majority of the audience that sees that content, at least from the measurement tools I have, is in the live stream. So that's where we'll keep it. Who wants to? Wireless Mike, good to see you as well. Who wants to make fun of Matt Walsh a little bit? I sure would. Let's set this up. So Matt Walsh appears to have had his Twitter hacked. This brought to us by Matt Bender, a man I almost had the chutzpah to ask come join me on the 420 stream later tonight, but decided not to because I may want this person to take me seriously at some point in the future. But nonetheless, let's look at his Twitter feed because it's too funny not to talk about. I mean, come on. So, coming from Matt Bender on Twitter, that's at Matt Bender, Matt Walsh has more than just a hacked Twitter account. His SIM card was hijacked, or his phone was physically stolen. Maybe it's just really him. I don't think it's him. So that appears to be the phone thief, or a very good photoshopping. Here's what Matt Walsh has as a pinned tweet. My pronouns are that. Rap term for a more acceptable curse word. I can confirm, says Matt Walsh's hacked Twitter. Andrew Tate kidnapped and those girls. Yeah, me too. Ben Shapiro, you know what you did. You are a closeted homosexual and hide behind being Jewish. Oh my God. Wow. Ha! Oh, I've spoiled it. Joe Rogan is a pedophile. I actually don't believe that one. I ain't a gangsta. I'm a sassy shooter. Oh, God. See, I've been putting off social media because you know your old pal Jake's going to walk right into something like this. I'm going to get hacked immediately for getting my own account information, and then that's just going to be the official account, is the hacked account. I'll be speaking at the University of Iowa tomorrow night. I feel confident that I will be warmly welcomed with smiles and good cheer from all the students on campus. Oh. If you had any doubt that it was hacked, here's his new banner. A jacked Minecraft Steve. Okay. All right. Oh, and he's at Sassy Shooters. Great. Kind of want to know what that Spotify track is now, too. Good Lord. So that's it. That's the entirety of that hot goss, and didn't disappoint. Once again, Matt Bender coming in hot with the Twitter investigation. Oh, well, speaking of, I did a bet the other day on the stream. On Monday, I did a bet on the stream. And I said that by 2 for Tuesday, I would find the source, or at least that was the bet, that I would find the source of the AstroTurf Bud Light Twitter fiasco. I guess it wasn't just Twitter. It was all social media, wherever the kids are hip-hopping these days. Well, that was supposed to be done by 2 for Tuesday, and I didn't. And I forgot about it, too. What I did find was Bellingcat, a online investigation guide that when you have ADD, it turns out will take the entirety of your afternoon and then evening and then the next day as you learn new things you never learned before and forget why you came in the first place. So, even though It's going to result in some very interesting original reporting here that won't get picked up by national news because it's going to be too oddball, but nonetheless interesting. Because you can find things like the source of where a tweet came from or when a meme got popularized and who did it. And turns out we have our own American web brigade that's extraordinarily active for right-wingers. Despite that, I gotta make good on this bet. I bet a hypothetical audience member that that they would have to, if I found this by 2 for Tuesday, 8 p.m., that they'd have to buy a membership. It was tongue-in-cheek. It's not directed at anybody in particular. But nonetheless, a bet's a bet. So since I forgot it for 2 days, I'm going to give 2 memberships. If you are a member and you are, if you are not a member, but you want to be, and you don't have the $5 a month to help fund this channel, that's okay. Your old pal Jake just lost a bet. Write what you can do at wickednetwork.com, and the first 2 people that tell me they want a free membership are going to get a free membership. Whoops, forgot that I was going to do that. Didn't do that. Did find something fascinating, which is Bellingcat, and expect to see them in a lot of our more lighthearted reporting over here. Because even though we're more about what happens after the reporting, from time to time we like to look at issues that are not standard in the news, not already being talked about. Hey, who wants to see how to deal with right-wingers? A gentleman by the name of Sam Cedar just did a great guide. We're gonna have a gander. So on the Majority Report the other day, they played some footage from a fella that really, he and I think in terms of our social media journey, are in the same place on different sides. He's starting off trying to make a name for himself, but he's doing it for the right wing, which means he's harassing innocent folks and generally being a tool. We're going to skip around a little bit in this clip from the Majority Report because it's too long. It's too long even for us to enjoy in the live stream where it's not chopped down. But he runs across people in the store who are clearly used to dealing with scum and have got it down. This is a master class on shutting down disingenuous right-wing trolls, which is to say, really anybody who's still on the right wing. In terms of who they are voting for. If they're voting MAGA, come on. They are choosing ignorance. So how do you deal with someone like that? Well, here is the masterclass brought to you by none other than BreadTube's GOAT, Sam Cedar.
Yeah, dude. What's his name?
Ethan Schmidt.
Yeah, where did we see him from? Oh, he's the guy who went into Petco and said I'm gonna report Petco to the authorities or something, and it turns out that he was in a PetSmart. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is a
another similarity with Ethan Schmidt and your old pal Jake. Similar intelligence levels. Okay, fair enough.
Some type of radical religious fundamentalist theocrat who goes into stores and complains about any corporation that is showing any sort of friendliness to LGBT folks, and also had an issue with any type of COVID protections. Here he is apparently going in some type of like park. Going up, he thinks he's being super clever, and he gets sort of owned by himself and showing what a moron this dude is. If you want to put out a video entitled, "I'm an idiot," this is what you would do. In fact, honestly, this would be a great parody video, but it was not. Here he is, walking around some type of like state park, probably.
Yo, what's up, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Why are you wearing that chin diaper outside? It's a beautiful day.
What's that?
You're wearing the chin diaper?
Yeah.
Why? You scared of COVID? You scared of COVID?
Working here.
You scared of COVID?
No.
No? What's up with the mask?
'Cause I'm grinding the metal.
What does that? Oh, okay. All right.
Oh, this is so stupid.
Oh, good God. I'm stealing their mirth here, but if you want to see Sam Cedar laughing at it, links in the description, of course. You go. It's a 30-minute video just about. The whole thing's gorgeous. But let's talk about what just happened. That fella who was wearing the mask was working outside, and he had a job. He had a job to get done here, which required that he wear the mask. Anybody who knows anything about these masks would see somebody, who's genuinely educated on why you wear a mask, would see somebody working outside and immediately know this person is wearing the mask because of their job, not because of COVID concerns. I'm not sure what this Ethan... Is it Evan, Ethan, whatever the hell? This right-wing troll was hoping to find, but what they have demonstrated, and you can use this to your advantage, what they've demonstrated in asking their question is how much they don't know about the people they're claiming are a problem. So these people claim, on the people that are still, for some reason, talking about masks, on the right wing, they claim that the people wearing masks need to be a target of right-wing assault for some reason. And they claim to know a lot about the other side, and that's why they say they're a problem. And yet, didn't realize that since like halfway through the pandemic, we've known that wearing a mask outside doesn't really do all that much when you're not in a big crowd outside. Really doesn't do that much regardless, but especially if you're not in a big crowd, if you're just walking around in nature, doesn't do that much. How can you use this? Well, when you get asked a question, pause before you react. Remember that most right-wing trolls are trying for an emotional reaction out of you because their kryptonite are facts. Their kryptonite is calm. Their kryptonite is, hippies would call it love. I would call it parental patience. Somebody who's been a parent talking to a kid that's asking dumb questions, it's not necessarily their kid, but they have the experience to let them finish their dumb question, make an ass of themselves with the question, and then calmly explain it. That energy. You bring that energy. Because they don't know what to do with it. They're not prepared for kindness. Remember, they were told, you despise them. You're out to get them. And when they educate themselves, they only learn about that fictitious person which you are not. Why were they told that? Because the sane person's reaction to the kind of stuff they say is to get angry and to get loud and to not even listen to anything else they have to say. But because that's what they've been trained to deal with, they can run their grift there. That's what a troll does. They dance around in your anger. Well, here's how to absolutely shut them down. Once you've had your outside mask moment, once they've said a question, which you're going to hear again, which cues you in to their willful ignorance. Here's how you make an ass out of them. Here's how you embarrass them. Here's how you win. Here's how you convert. Brought to you by some employee of a bookstore kicking the Christ out of an internet troll. Beautiful.
I got like a quick angle of him.
You got black history. You got black history. Excuse me, sir.
365 days a year.
I got a question for you. So you guys got black history. Here's the gay loser pride section.
Here's the person that kicks the Christ out of him. Sorry, my mic was off. Here's the person that kicks the Christ out of him.
Watch this.
I'm sure.
I don't know what Build-A-Bear is.
Build-A-Bear. We're gonna see if they're woke or not, folks. Hello. Is that a pronoun pin?
Oh yeah, it is.
What does that mean? Like, I'm really curious on the pronouns. Like, I really don't understand what it means. They, them.
Pausing it there because it doesn't start with a revealing question. You know what he just started with? A question I would have been happy to get. This little punk starts with, and you can see on her face, she's like, oh, maybe I'm going to have to educate somebody. But that's still useful. The person he's pretending to be, keep treating him like he is. When you see somebody ask what sounds like a genuine question to lead into a disingenuous conversation, don't let them lead you into the silliness. Keep bringing them back. But I'm not going to interrupt this lady until the end of the clip because this is such a masterful takedown. I feel like we should watch it like game footage. If we were a football team, this would be us. If we were a college football team, this would be us watching a play from the pros, who are doing something that we are trying to learn how to do. She just nails it.
What does that mean? Like, they, them, there's like.
Yeah, so instead of saying, oh, she's going into the back to get her water bottle, they went to the back to get their water bottle.
That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Like, they went to go, like, you're just one person though, right?
Yeah, if you're, if like someone dropped something and it got left somewhere,
Yeah.
and you didn't know who it belonged to, it's like, oh, I hope they come back for it, because it just belongs to one person, but you don't know who it is, so you just say they, even though it just still belongs to one person.
What about it?
Some people do use it.
It? Okay.
Pause it. I mean, what a great way. First off, they did an amazing job of, like, talk about being a sort of earnest, sincere, like, caring, patient person. I don't know if they knew what he was doing or not, but what a great way to explain to an idiot. A willful idiot. Exactly, a willful idiot. How do I use the pronoun they? I'm confused. Okay, well, let me explain it to you. Child. Somebody drop this. I hope they come back for this. There.
Yeah, look, I watched that thing like twice through because it was just so satisfying to see that guy get dunked on again and again and again. Go check out the Majority Report if you want to see the whole clip, though, because it's worth it. I wanted to talk about just those two parts of the conversation. The person in the beginning who is just working at their job and they get harassed by this guy. Person in the middle who's just working at their job and they get harassed by this guy. One person can shut down the conversation instantly because the guy's been so ignorant he doesn't even know how to attack this person. He doesn't connect that the reason he's wearing the mask has nothing to do with COVID. Okay, well, that's an easy one. It's just a matter of how much you want to twist the knife at that point. But the second one, that's the conversation you're going to have more often when you run into bigots in the wild or bigots in the chat. Generally, the willfully ignorant, the worst in our society, which are allowing the evil to take place. The way that second person dealt with it was perfect. Honestly answer the questions. What you don't see, because in the second part it gets interrupted, is how to keep, if the conversation keeps going, how to address when they tell you a lie, when they claim a fact that is not so. Don't get mad about it, because that's specifically what they're looking for. But you don't have to ignore it either. You can't ignore it if you want. She could have just literally turned her back on the guy, but what a wonderful opportunity to dunk on an idiot we would have lost. Here's how you do that. You ask questions. Where'd you find that information? It's not because we like the person who's willfully ignorant. It's not even because we're really talking to the person who's willfully ignorant. Remember who we are talking to. Whether it is online or in person, we are talking to the people who are listening to the conversation. The goal is to expose the willfully ignorant for what they are. Never forget that. That is the core of this. What somebody wants to do after they've seen that the willfully ignorant are choosing ignorance, that's up to them. You can't really affect that after you've exposed it. But you got to expose it first. Most people choose to bury their heads in the sand. It's unfortunate. You tend to have a lot more minorities on the left, not because minorities are somehow programmed to pull their heads out of the sand more or less willing to do that. No, because they have no choice, because they're under attack. If they don't do that, they're in serious trouble. But the right wing survives not off of the passion of their side. They've made that switch to try to fire up their side more in recent days, but they survive off willful ignorance. And not just those who choose to believe a lie, but those who choose to not look for what is true. So when you're confronted with a fool who is insisting on being foolish and they say something that's not true, and you ask them where they heard it, and you take the time in that conversation to look at their source or genuinely assess their source, the benefit is for everybody that is watching that. The benefit is for everybody else that was in that Build-A-Bear. The benefit is for everybody in that troll's audience who saw what a fool that troll looked like. The benefit is for everybody in the Majority Report audience. The benefit is now for you in the Wicked audience. That is who benefits when you ask people, where did they get their information from? When you genuinely explain to people why you believe what you believe. That was a master class from a, because I don't want to dox him, unnamed Build-A-Bear employee. Well done. Have a look at what the Wicked community has to say. Oh, yep, muted. I for sure was. That's I think we need to start a drinking game off if your old pal Jake leaves his mic muted, you got to finish your drink, whatever it is. Coffee, tea, beverage, sure. I homeschool my son. Wicked Foxy Dragon, you're full of surprises. I homeschool my son. He is 8 years old and understands, let's see. Oh no, says Rustbox. Grammar is complicated, am I right? Oh, because I'm reading halfway through. Oh, here we go. Lauren St. Laurent says Bellingcat is a great source. Another one is Just Security. Ooh, especially the Just Security Jan 6 clearinghouse. What you're hearing right now is the tempo of my voice changing as I copy that and save it in the long-term notes section. Thank you, Lauren St. Laurent. Let me tell you, Bellingcat has been a trip. They have a bunch of free courses. Like just for courses. They're guides. They're just online guides to how to find information. But it's very useful. Like finding the shadow in a picture and using that to tell what time of day the picture was taken in what part of the world. It's truly a trip. But I'm going to have to boil it down to a much smaller presentation before it is of any value to y'all. Because right now it would just me being like, oh, and then check this shit out. 3/10 of an investigation. Patrick Kibidol. Troll will never, ever source any of their propaganda, and when they feel pressured, they will tell you to Google it. Here is the secret sauce. That is how you win. You're right. Every conflict is unoriginal. You could call it War Never Changes from Fallout. You could do chess analogies. You could do boxing analogies. You could do business analogies. Every conflict's the same. And the worst thing you can do in a conflict is have a inflexible strategy. Even if you think let me tell you about a law firm. How about that? Let's use this as an analogy. A law firm I was intimately familiar with. For reasons that I will imply are shady, but probably weren't. They had a bunch of clients, but really, they were dominant in their chunk of Michigan because they had one major client, and that was an insurance company. And they could bid low on all kinds of jobs to just prevent other law firms from going around them because they got so much business from this one insurance client that they could make sure that they were the only game in town. And then the insurance company said, we spend so much on legal bills because we're an insurance company that we should really just have our own in-house staff. It makes sense financially. And they cut the law firm. It was just a business decision. It wasn't anything personal. They weren't even unhappy with the law firm. They just looked at the books and said, let's change it up. That law firm had a rough next decade. Almost killed it. Came real close to just ending the law firm because they had an inflexible strategy. They didn't build anything with that surplus that they had. They were locked in. That is the right-wing troll scene right now. You're right. They are reliant. Their version of the insurance company is the fact that they don't use facts. It is the fact that they aren't burdened by having to look things up and be correct about things. Well, guess what? Their whole ideology is built on that. You will do so much good by embarrassing them in public conversations. Like if you're standing in the Build-A-Bear, like if you're here in this chat, like if you're in another chat and you see somebody mouthing off like that. You're right. They won't look it up. Use that. Bait them. Here's some things you can prepare ahead of time that will make you look like a genius in the moment. Let's say it is about, you see somebody talking about anti-trans stuff and they're a big Matt Walsh fan. You know that when the conversation, whether you've started talking to them yet or not, but you plan to, you know that when the conversation comes down to surgeries, they're going to say millions of kids, yada, yada, yada. You look it up before the conversation starts. Look up how many kids have had gender transitioning surgeries in the United States, if that's where they're talking about it from. Look it up and just have it ready. You ask them for their information. Bait them into demanding that you provide the information, or you Google it. Say, okay, this is what I found, link in chat. Assuming you can link in the chat. If you don't, tell them the search terms you used and the paragraphs down, or say, I just found a report from American Medical Institute or whatever. Where are they going to go from there? They will probably not have a moment where they say, darn it, you are right, I need to go re-examine some things. But everybody in the chat is going to see that you asked them to provide a source. They couldn't do it. They asked you to provide a source, and you did it. You will have stopped the descent down the right-wing rabbit hole of a lot of people that were on the fence if they happened to see that conversation. And you have prevented a future descent from some kid that was in the conversation who is going to get into Joe Rogan in a little bit. And they are going to see the difference between an informed person and an uninformed person talking about this. So use the fact, if you get frustrated by a technique that is consistently being used against you or your side, understand that there is strength for you in the consistency that the other side has in the use of that technique. Sit down, be creative for a moment, and think of how you could use that to trip them. We often call it judoing that. You just use their momentum against them. And never forget, of course you're going to win. Of course you're going to win the argument. Why? Because you're right. At the end of the day, this is the age of information, and you are correct. So, yes, don't fail to meet them in any context, and use their silly-ass disinformation predictability against them. Ooh. Interesting. Foxy, tell me what you mean here. You should also use the truth sandwich with them so the disinformation is not promoted. Tell me about the truth sandwich. I'd very much like to hear like an example of what you mean, because that sounds interesting. Wicked Foxy Dragon also saying, you mean we haven't been drinking when you do that? You're right. I shouldn't have assumed otherwise. Wireless Mike says, I loved one of the comments by one of Sam's viewers. Tell everyone, yes, tell everyone you peaked in middle school without saying you peaked in middle school. Perfect description of that clown and his loser sidekick. Yeah, oh God, folks, I know I recommend a lot of stuff to watch here, but if you just need to unwind the treatment of Sam and who was in the studio with him that day? Was it wasn't Brandon? Brandon? Yeah. Whoever Sam's sidekick was that day, the heckling of these trolls by those two, and the Majority Report comments, which they read on stream, was the funniest, most soul-restoring thing I have seen in a long time. I would play it here, but I would genuinely feel like I was taking well-earned views from Mr. Sam Cedar. Go check it out, by all means. Wireless Mike, always start with the true facts before addressing or repeating the false info, and then end with the facts again. True sandwich. Boom. There you go. Thank you very much. And then Wicked, that was from Wireless Mike. Wicked Foxy Dragon adds, people usually listen to the first and last part of what someone is saying. Y'all are the dynamic duo. I'm telling you. Well done. All right. Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. True sandwich it. That gets the Wicked seal of approval. now we have something that I hope gives you the same feeling it gave to me. I'm going to talk about it in a moment here. I don't know how to classify this particular type of content, but we need to. And we need to, I think, make a whole playlist out of it because it's important to know, even though this is the ugliest the fight for justice has been in my life. It's important to know that there is hope. That the next generation is better. And that we can use that fact to help them. Wicked Foxy Dragon started off the chat today by mentioning the fact that we've had very similar shootings happening in the United States where some coward with a gun shoots a kid or a young person, whatever, for being near them. They found an excuse to shoot a young person. But not everybody from these areas is a monster. Case in point, here is the son of the attempted murderer of Ralph Yarl. Not the son, the grandson of the attempted murderer of Ralph Yarl. Speaking out against his grandfather to Don Lemon on national television. Ladies and gentlemen, there is hope. Here's a guy named Clint.
Now to Andrew Lester, the white homeowner who is accused of shooting a black 16-year-old, Ralph Yarl. He pled not guilty yesterday to 2 felonies. Lester told police that he was scared to death of Yarl due to his size. Now, Lester, who is 84 years old, was released on bond. He is due back in court June 1st. Prosecuting attorney said there was a racial component to this case. Miraculously, Yarl is back at home, recovering from his injuries after 3 days in the hospital. This is a picture of him taken yesterday with his lawyer, Lee Merritt. So joining us now is Clint Ludwig. He is the grandson of Andrew Lester, and we always like to get a perspective on the thinking of someone who knows him, why they might do this.
Two things right off the bat. Just want to get this out there. Number one, holy Christ. Ralph Yarl is the toughest 16-year-old in America. Can we just give him that title? 2023 toughest 16-year-old? I mean, I think that's almost no contest. Number two, I don't remember the musician, but imagine for a moment I was better at pop culture and I remembered the musician this guy looks like. This guy looks like a musician. But that said, we're not going to hold it against him because what he says is GD admirable.
So, Clint, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Don. Good morning.
Good morning to you. So what is your reaction? What was your reaction when you heard that your grandfather shot Ralph Yarl for ringing his doorbell?
I was disgusted. I thought it was terrible. Myself and my family stand with Ralph Yarl and seeking justice. This is a horrible tragedy. It never should have happened.
Folks are going to want to know, why are you speaking out and apparently against your grandfather?
It's the right thing to do. This country happens over and over again where people get away with killing unarmed, innocent black people. And I would have had the same energy for any other case like I've had over and over again in this country, like I said. So it's the right thing to do. People need to speak out and not make any excuses for this kind of behavior and this violence.
So you said for killing innocent black people. The prosecutor in this case has suggested that there was a racial component to it. Do you believe your grandfather is racist?
I believe he holds racist tendencies and beliefs.
Why do you say that?
He's just a stock American Christian male. It's older, that's just how they are.
This is one of the first useful interviews I have seen on national television in months. Truly. There have been plenty of interviews which have been useful if you add the old what you can do conversion kit. If you say, this piece of information, that piece of information. But in terms of, and this is a now an antiquated term, but middle America, I guess. Whoever traditionally watches cable news to get their information, they're now the least informed among us. So in terms of them getting a fair assessment of what the GD country they live in is actually like, this is the most useful. This guy is not media trained, and it's to the advantage of all of us here. Given short, straight answers. He knows he was prompted. He doesn't know. He was just prompted to go speak for like 15, 30 seconds. What did he do? He spoke for 2 seconds. He said, yeah, he's got racist tendencies. We need, as a country, to accept the fact that we have regressed. MAGA successfully regressed the United States. They got what they wanted. All the worst parts of what they say made America great in the 60s, in the 50s. They're getting that again. They've got minority groups they're allowed to attack. They've got their code words that mean they can say awful things about people publicly. They're burning books, literally burning books. They're a bunch of terrorists. Not even wannabe terrorists at this point. They're either the old KKK, whatever the modern equivalent is, Proud Boys, etc., or they're sympathizers to that. But if they're supporting MAGA, that's what they are now. We can pull them out. That is as I talked about with Wicked Foxy Dragon, that's a distant third priority because we don't need them. We have the numbers to beat them now. We just need to effectively use them. We need to move as one more often in a similar, if not the exact same direction. But this right here, what he just said on national television, will change minds. There are people, believe it or not, who stopped paying attention to race after Obama got elected, or stopped paying attention after the George Floyd protests and thought, that probably did it. They've just been informed that this is a serious problem. Good.
The conspiracies and weird random racist things they say, and it doesn't make sense, but they're just scared.
Now, listen, you're generalizing a lot here about, you said older Christian white males, but what do you mean by that? What do you mean they're scared? Talk to me more, please.
Yeah.
Just real quick, well done, Don Lemon. Well done. Good way to ask that question. Talk to me more.
Yeah, it's just I feel like a lot of people of that generation are caught up in this 24-hour news cycle of fear and paranoia perpetuated by some other news stations, and he was fully into that, sit and watch Fox News all day, every day, blaring in his living room. And I think that stuff really kind of reinforces this negative view of minority groups and leads people to be a little, doesn't necessarily lead people to be racist, but it reinforces and galvanizes racist people and their beliefs.
Now, apparently, correct me if I'm wrong, Clint, you said that your grandfather would say or do things apparently that you did not subscribe to that caused you to distance yourself from him.
For anybody wondering if this guy's looking for his 15 minutes, I obviously can read minds, but I choose not to because it's immoral. So having not read his mind, I can't say for sure. I will say he's staring at the ground for a lot of this. He looks ashamed. He feels ashamed. And that is a healthy thing for an American to be feeling right now, especially if their family member tried to murder a kid. It's a healthy thing. It means this guy, Clint, has the guts to take responsibility. He's speaking on behalf of his family. In some ways, we do have to go back to that old tribal way of doing things, where we acknowledge responsibility for ourselves, for our neighbors, for what our family does. We are beyond the days of forcing somebody at spear tip to go walk out into the sea. But we have an obligation to stand up for decency and to raise the bar in America again. This guy's doing it. Hell yeah. I'm going to let him finish up.
Say and do things like what?
That's right. A lot of it was the kind of QAnon level conspiracies about election denying, and then they got really weird with some Fauci dogs. I really didn't know what that meant. But I would push back on some of this stuff, and he couldn't handle being pushed back on. And at a certain point, we kind of lost touch, and I think it was more of his choice than mine.
Did he say or do things that you found offensive about minorities or people of color?
Yes, he would say some things. I can't remember exactly now all that happened, but I know he had something about, had a really hot take about abortion and how something about black women getting abortions. And I didn't know what he was talking about, but I said, I don't really want to talk to you about this anymore. This is racist and it's dumb. So let's move on. And I pushed back, and he didn't like that either at the time.
So listen, the Kansas City Star also spoke to your brother. Your brother's name is Daniel Ludwig, and he said it seems like a bunch of mistakes in a row that resulted in a tragedy. I mean, a lot of mistakes all the way around. Unfortunately, if you look at the affidavit, there were actions taken that caused my grandpa's side isn't being reported. And he is saying that your grandfather is not racist. He doesn't believe that.
He can say that. I think he's running defense a little bit. I don't think he sees him for who he is.
Just a really great way to answer questions. Short, to the point. Beautiful. I'm going to try to take a page out of this guy's book. The media training people have is bad if you're looking to have an honest conversation. This guy is how all these topics need to be addressed. Saw something from Lauren St. Laurent that I really want to talk about. I wonder, says Laurent, could people sue Fox, OAN, etc. for losing family members to these theories? Here's the thing. A lot of people are going to tell you no. What they mean is the court won't pick up the lawsuit. There is nothing stopping you, an individual who has a family member who Rupert Murdoch has corrupted with lies. I'm talking about around the world, Lauren. There's nothing stopping you from filing the suit. What if 100,000 people filed suits against Fox? What would happen? One after another, I'm sure, they'd be kicked out of court. They'd say, you don't have standing. You can't prove this or that or the other thing. But in those suits, they're gonna be coming at them all from slightly different angles, because everybody's story is gonna be slightly different. File the suit. Why not? Make Fox pay for an hour of its attorney's time, multiplied over the millions of people that they have harmed, and you are going to change the way they operate. there are two questions. Let's I like analogies. They make it easier for me to talk about anything. Let's use a boxing analogy. Will this punch knock him out? Will this punch land? Or will this punch set me up for a better position to get a better punch in 2 seconds? Most of the punches we throw are not going to be knockouts. Most of them aren't going to land. That doesn't mean we shouldn't be throwing them. We are trying to position this beast. We're trying to weaken Ivan Drago here. Given who Fox hosts have been speaking out on behalf of, I think that analogy works well. We're trying to move them around the ring. They just got hammered in the head. Their knees are shaking. Dominion cracked him a good one right across the jaw. Yeah, are we able to file a suit against the Fox Corporation? You bet your ass we are able to. So let's do it. In fact, I'm going to look up in a couple of states that I think could really use it what you have to do in order to do that. Didn't do it yet, but boy howdy, we are going to make that a thing. Because you don't need anybody's blessing to file a suit. If it gets thrown out, oh well. But make their lives worse, because Rupert Murdoch deserves to spend the rest of his days in utter misery.
Did your grandfather have a gun or more weapons in the house?
They were all over, yes.
What do you mean, they?
The guns were all over. He had them stashed in some spots and had a big locker full of them. But yeah, he was ready to defend his home, as he would say.
Considering the recent history, I mean, is this a recent history that you found your grandfather? Is that why you pulled away from him? Has he always been this way, or is this something new?
I feel like he's been pretty conservative for a long time, which is fine. But feel like in the last 5 or 6 years, it's really ramped up. He was a huge Trump supporter, and between that and then the galvanizing that people have been feeling lately with politicians and ideologues co-signing, violence and domestic violence, domestic terrorism, and even pardoning people who murder other people for differing political beliefs. I feel like all that stuff has really ramped up his beliefs and radicalized him a little bit.
I'm just wondering, because we've been covering these, and there are usually, not always, there are warning signs. You feel like the warning signs were there. That's why I asked you if this is something that...
Real quick update, that pardoning people for different political beliefs, I believe he was referring to Greg Abbott. I don't know if y'all were watching Bo, but it has since come out. The victim in that shooting in Texas, where the man was convicted of murder, well, the victim was a libertarian. Of course, it shouldn't matter, but we do need to take advantage of everything we can. So make sure, if you hear any scum in your vicinity talking about why that guy should be pardoned, why they're in support of it, make sure they know that little detail, that this murderer, first, here, let's go with a bonus. First, get them to confirm, ask if the person had a different set of political beliefs. Get them to confirm that they think this person deserves to be free regardless. Just so they're really going to make an ass of himself in about 10 seconds. And then say, were you aware that this person was a libertarian that got murdered? And then let them just stew in that soup, because now they're in favor, because of their silly ass politics. They're in favor of supporting somebody that murdered a libertarian. This will not change their mind. This will make that person hate you and lash out and do all kinds of things. But the people watching the conversation, say the other libertarians who were on that guy's side, who see the chat log a month later, they are going to see that and say, that could have been me that was killed. And that could be my killer that was being set free. Maybe I do need to think about things. Remember, people act very differently when they understand eyes are on them versus when they don't. And remember that your audience, when you're having these debates, is really the people who are watching the debate in any form.
Happened recently.
I believe so. The warning signs were there. I wasn't shocked when I heard the news. I believed it.
And he did live alone?
Up until recently, his wife lived there, but yes, he was living alone at the time.
Until recently, his wife lived there. She didn't live there.
She wasn't there at the time, no.
She wasn't there. Okay. What message do you have for Ralph Yarl and his family, Clint?
I'm proud of you, Ralph. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I understand you're an amazing kid, and I think you're going to grow up to be an amazing man. And you didn't do anything wrong. The outpouring of support that the country has shown to you, I think, says more than I ever could say. And I'm really thankful for Sean King for making this a national news story, getting the people getting out in the streets and demanding attention. And Ralph, you don't deserve to have your life fundamentally changed like you had it, and you deserve justice. And my family stands with you.
Beautiful.
Have you reached out to the Yarls?
No. I don't really know how. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So,
well, I think we'll make sure that they see this. I just want to know, what message do you have for your grandfather?
I really don't know what to say to him. I'm
Jesus.
I'm really sad that this happened. He didn't need to do this. This didn't have to happen. He didn't need to be scared of a young kid coming to his door at night. It's absurd. He needs to get his paranoia, and this isn't just for him too. A lot of people in the world, the paranoia and atomizing the society, it's going to lead to some really bad stuff. And we're not doing anything to fix it. We're just getting galvanized and staying at home alone.
Clint Ludwig, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Sure, thank you.
I mean, what more can you ask from someone? If the Ludwig family was looking for redemption, there it is. Good job, Clint. You've taken responsibility. Good job. If the Yarl family is looking for justice, looks like they might get it. Of course, we're still going to watch this. We're still going to make sure that the behavior of shooting a child for ringing your doorbell is not condoned in any way in our society. We are going to make sure the senior Ludwig spends the rest of his life in prison where he belongs. And we're going to use this as an example to the rest of the nation. As Wicked Foxy Dragon pointed out, really isn't isolated. This has happened multiple times this week. Young folks have gotten shot for just being around paranoid, cowardly Fox News viewers. What can you do? Well, number one, God, I'm sorry if you're ever in the position that Clint Ludwig was in. Act as Clint Ludwig did. Explain what happened as best you can. Give people information. That's what they need. Take responsibility. Give a sincere apology for people that were even within earshot of you at any point acting in that behavior. And let the kid, Ralph Yarl. Let him know people are rooting for him. People are on his side. Country is not divided over this. Make it clear that the majority of people he sees in the rest of his life are of the variety that wouldn't shoot him for no damn reason, that wouldn't shoot his children for no damn reason, if and when that time comes for him, that he's got them. And above all, we need to kill Fox News. We're going to have some fun with this, folks. We need to destroy Fox News. It's time to end that organization. It is poison for the American people, and it needs to be gone. This is going to be a long, grueling, incredibly fun fight. Because right now, Fox is at the top. They're a disinformation organization that is like heroin for its viewers. It's addictive. It gives them a thrill. And they can't put it down. And it's ruining their lives. And it's making their families go away. So how are we going to get rid of Fox News? Well, Lawrence St. Laurent gave us an excellent idea. Number one, yeah, we can do lawsuits. Sure. But we're probably, because the system is designed the way it is, we're not going to get very far with those lawsuits. But they do focus on the thing that makes Fox go. The billions of dollars. Well, where do they get their money from? They get their money largely not from organizers, but from carriage fees. You see, some cable news stations that are in those packages, they get paid by the cable company to have their channel. This is common with news channels. It's also common with sports channels. It's part of what the cable provider uses to sell their cable package. And let me tell you, cable providers are so desperate to gather and, more importantly, keep cable viewers that they do things like give away free internet service with their cable as bundles, knowing that what they're really trying to do is grab the people that came in just to buy internet, like everybody does, and hopefully make a cable viewer out of them. If you have a cable package right now, you've got television set up in your home, contact your cable provider and tell them, and by the way, mean it, that if they do not stop paying the Fox carriage fee, thereby funding this madness, if they don't stop doing that, you're going to cancel them. As in, you're literally going to cancel your service. Call them, say it, and mean it. There is no program on TV which is worth Ralph Yarl getting shot in the skull. There's no program worth that. There is no amount of convenience using a remote as opposed to a mouse that is worth Ralph Yarl, a 16-year-old child, getting shot in the head. It's not worth it. Based on previous contract renewals, Spectrum or Charter, Xfinity or Comcast, and Cox could all be in negotiations literally right now. Tell them, if either of those is your internet provider, tell them that you will ditch them if they pay Fox a carriage fee. Use the hashtag, link in the description, by the way, to nofoxfee.com, who's already done the legwork on this, and so I am eternally grateful. Use the hashtag on social media Put it all over. Hashtag no Fox fee. And explain this. As the interview we had the other day said, yeah, you should do it yourself, and then you should try to get a couple of other people to do it and tell them to get other people to do it. That is how we snowball this thing and flatten this monster. So to recap, call Charter, Comcast, or Cox if you have either of those providers and tell them you will drop their service if they pay Fox a carriage fee any longer. Make sure you mean it. If and when you leave, by the way, make sure you tell them why. You agreed to support disinformation in the United States of America. You are a danger. You are a part of the problem, cable provider. You are, in fact, the problem. You are funding disinformation. You are funding hatred and bigotry. You are the problem. I will not participate in that anymore with you. Tell them that when you leave. It will have a massive effect. It will do your soul good. And of course, put the hashtag all over social media, hashtag no Fox fee, and explain why. Tell your cable provider they need to stop paying the Fox carriage fee if they want to keep your service, and mean it. Hashtag no Fox fee. Put that all over social media. Remember that the right wing, they don't just project, they constantly provide us with the strategy that will work for getting rid of them. They accuse us of doing things like cancel culture that often the left isn't actually doing. But it's a pretty good idea. Meanwhile, you have the right diving into Budweiser canceling and this, that, and the other thing. They're willing to take big swings. And I see people saying, oh, they're making asses of themselves. Yeah, they're making asses of themselves because people, when they look closely at the issues they're drawing attention to, see that they're nonsense. That doesn't mean it's a bad idea for us to do it. Because when people look at the issues we're talking about, they're going to see that we're correct. So yeah, draw attention to this issue. Yeah, weaken Fox. Yeah, make them a liability to carry. Why don't we have the Klan channel on television? It's not because it wouldn't be right. It's because the cable companies have made a calculation that such a channel, Nazi TV, whatever the hell, wouldn't be good for them in a business sense. Fox is that. Fox gives us racist shooters. Fox gives us election disinformation. Fox gives us January 6th. Fox gives us hate crimes. Fox lies, as we can now clearly state. I don't even get to, frankly, hope I get a lovely little lawsuit out of that. It's just a fact that Fox is, they're a bunch of liars. All the Fox show hosts despise their audience and lie and admit so to each other over text. If they stick around in 2024, it will be because we have allowed them to. Get rid of Fox. Hashtag no Fox fee on social media. Call your cable provider ASAP. Lawrence St. Laurent said almost every successful movement started by failing before reaching a critical mass of support. Yes, sir. Yeah. And as we were saying earlier, it's those jabs, man. You don't start with the knockout blow. You have hundreds and hundreds of jabs before you're in the position to get that blow you need. Lawrence St. Laurent says, wasn't there something called Defox My Box? Yeah, it sounds about right. Wish I would have known about it then. but no Fox fee looks like it's got some momentum already. So let's keep it going for sure. Patrick Kibido says, my idiot brother, who is 2 years younger, doesn't think he is racist, but his resting pulse is so racist. If I could be in his ear all the time, I could change his mind, but that isn't feasible. Yeah, that's rough, man. What I would recommend doing is looking at how often you have the ability to get in his ear and drop things into his ear that are going to stick with him long term. So when you don't question his views, but instead question his sources and ask specific questions about his sources that you know he can't answer, it means he's going to be looking for them next time. And when he looks for them and can't find them, that's going to have an effect. But really, the thing that will have the most effect is that your opinion won't change over time, so long as you are still looking at the facts. And he's going to find that his own opinion changes over the years constantly. And he will have to compare that to yours, which stays true blue. Why is his opinion going to change constantly? Because he's going to be getting told different stories for why he's asked to do the monstrous things he's asked to do. Wicked Foxy Dragon says Tucker Carlson was sued for the similar thing and got out of being held accountable because everyone knows not to trust what he says. Yeah. That happened, I think, just on the eve of America waking up as it has. I think that would have had a very different effect had it happened 10 years later. But the fact that it did happen, it is on the record, it is under oath, means we can use it, and we should use it. And I would hold that back, that little fact, maybe even save the web page where you see that information. I would hold that fact back until you're ready to deal a knockout blow. Or conversely, as the introduction to talking about the Fox Dominion case. But that's a fun little bonus you can throw at people. Not only did they lie to you then, in other words, they've been lying to you the whole time. And here's Tucker Carlson's own words. You shouldn't take him seriously because he is not a serious program. That is what you should tell him. Oh, mercy me. I should probably tell future Jake, a.k.a. The editor of this channel, that particular segment's over. We got a new one here that I do surely want to show you. Not the MSNBC Hill. It's fake electors. It's been something of a pet project of this channel because I happen to believe it is actually the most important case. Why is it the most important case currently in the U.S. government? It genuinely could be the most important case around the world right now, based on the effect it could have down the line. The fake elector case, which deals with the coordinated attempt to confuse the election process in the United States of America in late 2020. That appears, according to the January 6th committee, to have been done on the behalf of and at the instruction of Donald John Trump. That was the first coup. That was part of January 6th, as a matter of fact. It was supposed to be the thing that allowed Mike Pence to send the responsibility for signing the GD paperwork onto the Supreme Court to kick over the matter of who is our president to the Supreme Court. That was the purpose of it. It wasn't to get those states to actually have their electors accepted. It was to confuse the process. I have been saying on literally maybe 1 out of every 5 streams, of which we do 7 a week. I have been saying pursue this at the state level. Why? Because, number one, Merrick Garland is a coward, and he is weak. If it turns out that this whole time he's been pursuing a RICO case, then he doesn't understand how timelines in the United States work, doesn't understand the importance of getting these people before they are elected again, which has already happened, and he doesn't certainly understand how domestic terrorism works. In addition, he has demonstrated that he's not really all that interested in getting everybody. However, at your state level, they're going to be real interested, because those are going to be members, largely speaking, of your state's Republican Party. In that group, Fani Willis has gotten a pass. I've been rattling them off. The states are Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, New Mexico, Georgia. Who did I miss? There's a seventh. Pennsylvania, Nevada, whatever. I've been giving Fani Willis is a district attorney, but I've been giving the Attorney General of Georgia a pass, because I assumed, based on the conduct of the district attorney, Fani Willis, that they would indeed be pursuing that. Well, turns out that's correct. In Georgia, they are not just going after Donald Trump anymore. Based on the phone call, etc., it appears they are also going after the fake electors. And goddamn, I'm pleased to see it. Here's the report.
Democratic Party electors met right up there in the Senate chambers. They are official, they are certified, and they voted for Joe Biden. But Georgia Republicans, they met at exactly the same time, right behind those closed doors. They are not official, not certified. They still met. They chose Donald Trump.
And their actions did not go unnoticed. Those 16 Georgia Republicans who cosplayed as Trump electors, they were informed last summer that they are targets in a Fulton County criminal probe. District Attorney Fani Willis has been largely focused on Donald Trump and his efforts to subvert the 2020 election. And today we learned that some of those fake electors have been offered immunity, although not all of them apparently knew that. Today,
hold up. Remember something else we've been talking about. That book from Ellie Honig. I believe it's called Untouchable, discussing his experience with the mob and why it's so hard to get bosses. The main technique they use is to control the lawyers. Why do they want to control the lawyers? For this exact reason. In fact, the part that we talked about touched on witness intimidation, but it also touched on this. In fact, it was centered on this: controlling the lawyers. Why is that so important? Well, immunity deals. It's basically it. To prevent the client from taking an immunity deal that would affect the real client, the person paying the check. Mob behavior, folks. The term RICO stands for Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organization Act. I don't know why it's not RICOA. The corrupt organization here, well, that's the Republican Party. We need to start being serious about how we discuss them. I've been chastised by Republicans for saying they are evil. Let me just say, for the record, so I can clear the air and not be immature about this, they are evil. They're a bunch of criminals. It's a criminal organization. It is a corrupt organization, and they are using mob tactics. Remember, these are mob tactics when you see them. The controlling of the lawyer. What did they just say right here? We didn't know we had immunity on the table. We didn't know we could have taken that. We would have taken that. Except we weren't informed by our lawyer about it. I've been telling you, there's not going to be a Republican Party if there is an America in 2025. There's not going to be one. Stuff like this is why we literally cannot coexist with the Republican Party. That also means our strategy needs to be focused on getting rid of the Republican Party entirely. I don't care if you've been a Republican voter for 60 years. The party you once supported ain't there. I'll tell you, it never really was there, but they used to be able to pretend like they were about something else. But this goes back to the consent decree they had to sign in the 80s to not have poll watchers because they were sending armed off-duty cops to go bully people at polling places. They're a corrupt organization, and now we have to deal with it because now, if we don't deal with it, there literally is not going to be a United States. Because the U.S. cannot survive if the rule of law only applies to everybody other than Republicans.
Today, Ms. Willis filed a motion seeking to disqualify an attorney named Kimberly Burrows Dubrow. Kimberly Burrows Dubrow currently represents 10 of the fake electors in this case, which is a lot of fake electors to represent. We learned in the filing that the judge ordered Ms. Dubrow to have a conversation with her clients about a potential immunity deal last year.
What to listen for? Who is paying for her services? Wagner's going to tell us in this report. But listen for it anyway, because when you hear who's paying for their services, for that attorney's services, then you know who didn't want the fake electors to take an immunity deal. In other words, to agree to not be charged in order to tell the full truth to investigators. Who didn't want investigators to be able to investigate this crime?
And DA Willis's office claims that, contrary to what was said in court, Ms. Dubrow and her then co-counsel Holly Pearson apparently did not share that information with at least some of those 10 fake electors. In a statement that was released within the past hour, Ms. Dubrow called the DA's motion baseless, false, and offensive and added, "I have ethically and professionally represented my clients at all times, and I will continue to do so." So there remains a very big question about what kind of counsel Ms. Dubrow was offering her clients. And then there is this. The filing also claims that in recent meetings with Ms. Willis's office, some of the fake electors accused another fake elector, one of the clients of Ms. Dubrow, they accused that elector of further crimes. Now, what those further crimes are, we do not know. Something may be beyond what Ms. Willis has investigated thus far, which is, well, now you have my attention. And the DA says that that assertion creates a conflict of interest. Some clients who may be cooperating with the DA's office are levying charges against another client who is presumably not cooperating with the DA's office. And all of them are being represented by Kimberly Burrows Dubrow. You can see how that could create some issues if those defendants all have the same lawyer. The DA's office says that Dubrow's representation of those 10 false electors has become an impracticable and ethical mess. And oh, by the way, Kimberly Burrows Dubrow is reportedly being paid by the Georgia Republican Party.
Well.
There are reports that she received over $200,000 from the state GOP. Joining us now is Michael Moore, former U.S. Attorney for the Middle District of Georgia. Michael, thanks for being here. It's always good to see you.
Hold up, Michael. Sucks to find out how little people can be bought for, doesn't it? $200,000, and this person is willing to just slit the throat of democracy. Willing to go against everything she would have been taught about ethics, about the way the law functions, about decency, just willing to toss it all away. For what, $200,000? You add on taxes, that's, what, $160,000? For that kind of selling of my soul, for that kind of losing of the right to ever ask to be taken seriously again. For that, I'm just saying I would have wanted at least 500 grand. I'm not saying I'm a saint. I'm just saying it feels like 500 grand is like where you start. If you've got 500 grand, by the way, and you want me to really sell out, I'll think about it.
I wonder if you are reading this the same way, that some of these fake electors may be cooperating with the DA's office. Is that what we should infer from this?
Well, I'm glad to be with you. I'm not sure that I think it's necessarily a cooperation at this point. I mean, we can tell from the motion that was filed that there was some interview that was given and the lawyer was present. And if these folks are saying, well, we didn't know about immunity, that tells me that there's no deal on the table and there may not be a cooperation effort there. One thing to kind of keep in mind is this is really the second time that the district attorney's office has tried to disqualify the lawyers for this same group of people. And it's getting to be a little bit like when you run into a brick wall and you can't get around it. The only thing you can do is tear it down. And it seems like maybe that's what is going on here. So I can't tell if they're cooperating. I think that there's some language in the pleading that makes me, question, what the real conflict may be. And one of those things deals with the additional crime that you talked about. We don't know if that simply means one of the fake electors saying, well, they signed it twice and I only signed it once. Well, that would be a separate crime if that's the case. That could arguably be additional criminal conduct that one may be saying they weren't involved in. So we just don't know a lot yet. But the timing of this is interesting, given that things have been so quiet in the Fulton County case since the New York indictment.
Wild, man. Absolutely wild. Leon Chevalier, good to see you, brother. Man, oh man. Gave a reason, says Wicked Foxy Dragon, to question who was the real electors. Yeah, that was their whole goal. Lauren St. Laurent says, I've read about an old technique to confuse voters. Have a candidate on the ballot with a similar name to the candidate you want to beat. Holy shit. You know what? Let's use that. If you are in the United States of America and you live in a town where somebody is on the GOP and they have a similar name to you, I realize this is a long shot, but what the hell? Let's do it. Let's fight mean. If you have somebody on the GOP with a similar name to you, run. Run as an independent. Your goal is not to win. Your goal is to cut their votes in half. Is it despicable? Yeah. Is it dirty? Yeah. Do it anyway. Just had a 16-year-old shot in the head because of these clowns. These people genuinely are trying to dismantle democracy in America. Fight mean. If your name happens to be similar to a GOP candidate that's running, run as an independent, baby. Run as an independent. Cut their votes in half. Come. Fight mean. I didn't even have what you can do for that, but now one exists. Why know what you can do for that? This is one we got to watch for the most part. Yes, you should absolutely do that very cruel thing of taking advantage of how uninformed Republican voters are. That's on them, though. And those are tactics they're using. Fair game. It's fair play. So do it. Why not? I saw, by the way, that Raw News and Politics, who I am just a massive fan of, man, did an update on that very story. I want to look at what she had to say. What do you say? Let's have a gander. Yeah, let's have a look at what Raw News and Politics had to say. She's got a quick report on this.
Everyone, welcome to the show. So yesterday I shared with you guys that the Georgia District Attorney, Fani Willis, had asked a judge to remove one of the defense attorneys involved in her case and her probe into the election coup that we believe Donald Trump tried to perpetrate. So the DA alleges that attorney Kimberly DeBrow failed to tell her 10 clients, her fake elector clients, about a cooperation deal that Fani Willis had offered last year. Well, now another report by the New York Times says that one of the fake electors who's not represented by this attorney DeBrow already has an immunity deal, and they've been cooperating with the prosecutors. So that's according to someone with knowledge of the case. And this recent report said, quote, other electors are seeking immunity deals. So first come, first serve.
We're going to pause it for just a minute. Remember, if you are from one of the fake elector states, you have the ability to make this happen in your state. Some of the people who are serving in your state are currently doing so despite the fact that they participated in a coup d'etat against your government, against your country. If you live in the United States of America, some of the people who currently receive a paycheck in your name, some of those folks tried to nullify your vote. If you have a logical brain, if you're from around the world and you have a logical brain, that should cheese you off a little bit. And in particular, if you're an American, where we pride ourselves, I mean literally take pride, in our vote mattering, in the people having a say above all else. That should infuriate you. You should take revenge. You should put that person in a court of law where they are not allowed to lie. For a Republican, that's their worst nightmare. Because they're cowardly. First and foremost, they are cowards. And they're liars. So if you're from the fake elector states, and you better believe this is going to be in the VOD, I'm going to go update the description. There are 7 of them. 2 of them right now. 2 of them only have state-level investigations into the fake electors. Change that. I want to see all 7 by the end of 23. All 7. We're going to make this happen. And it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun because it's going to involve Republicans panicking and turning on each other and eating themselves. That's always the best, ain't it?
And as they should be, because they are facing some serious legal trouble. I also mentioned yesterday that Attorney DeBrow hadn't responded to the Daily Beast. They're the ones who put out the first report. They reached out for comment, and she hadn't responded when they published that report. But she has since provided a statement to the New York Times. This was as of late yesterday. DeBrow called the DA's allegations, quote, baseless, false, and offensive. And she said, quote, none of my clients have committed any crimes, and they necessarily have not implicated themselves or each other in crimes. So we'll see what happens. I would imagine the judge is going to probably call a hearing on the matter. He's going to want to hear directly from DeBrow's clients. And if the grand jury will be impaneled at the beginning of May, which was as reported, he'll be speaking with them very soon. He's going to want to hear from them in the next couple of weeks. And if not, then this pushes it back. Any, indictment decisions would be pushed back to July. Now, the fact that Fani Willis submitted this to the judge and asked him to make this determination and remove this attorney at this point kind of confirms the fact that she was going to be moving forward with impaneling a new grand jury at the beginning of May. But if she misses that window, then, like I said, it's going to be July before anything happens, because as I've mentioned before, in Georgia, grand juries can only be impaneled every 2 months, at the beginning of every 2 months. So May would push us back to July. And I don't think she wants to do that, because then we're getting too deep into the political process, the whole 2024 presidential campaign season, which, I don't think they should make decisions that way anyway, because then you're making a decision based on politics. It is then a political decision rather than a prosecutorial decision, rather than a law and order, no one is above the law kind of decision. So we'll see. I will definitely keep you guys posted on all of this. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Love you all. Take care.
Well, I gotta thank her for that pitch. Yeah, please like, share, and subscribe, and for God's sake, please donate if you can. Your old pal Jake's trying to stay in root beer over here. Oh, almost got through that cleanly. Please do all the things. I want to grow this channel. Having a blast doing it. Want more folks so that we can stomp people. Got a couple of things, and this is going to be very interactive with y'all. Got a couple of things I want you to look at that I think you might just enjoy doing with me. I've been having a blast. Let's start with a little bit of Beastie Boys. If you're familiar with their catalog, then you'll know one of their finer songs has to do with sabotage. We can clog the system of an anti-trans reporting site right now. The scumbag Attorney General of Missouri, a bigoted see you next Tuesday, has started a snitch form where you can report, regardless of what state you're in, you can report people who you suspect of being trans. Think about how insane that is. Think about how evil that is. Take out trans, replace with Jew. Now what do you think of it? A suspected Juden has been found. We must act! Call the brown shirts and the Proud Boys. That's what the Attorney General in, surprise, surprise, Missouri has set up. Let me show you what I mean. Missouri asks people to report doctors offering life-saving trans health care. The government in Missouri is encouraging people, good God almighty, this is going to be hard for me to read with my setup, is encouraging people, to report medical professionals providing gender-affirming care to patients as the state seeks to crack down on transgender health care. On health care, for God's sake. The Transgender Center Concerns Form has gone live on the website of Republican Missouri Attorney General Andrew F. Me, I Deserve to Be Hated, and There's a Warm Spot in Hell being set up just for me, Bailey, urging residents to submit a complaint of concern about a gender transition intervention you have experienced or observed in Missouri. Bailey, who assumed the office of Attorney General in January, to the eternal shame of people from Missouri, has brought in the emergency restrictions against gender-affirming care for both minors and adults, which amounts to a near ban. As reported on Sunday, the 16th of April, trans Missourians will have to suffer through 3 years of long-lasting, persistent, and intense pattern of gender dysphoria before obtaining treatment. It's 2023, by the way, just in case you were wondering if we fell into a time machine. Nope, it's 2023. So what can you do about it? Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can jump onto that form, which is linked in the description, and you can tell the Attorney General of Missouri that you think that person is a see you next Tuesday. You can tell them that their mother should be ashamed of them. And if their mother wouldn't be ashamed of them, then they should be ashamed of their mother. You can tell them that there is a spot in hell being warmed up just for them. You can tell them that you hope that odd-shaped patch of skin turns out to be cancer that's metastasized. You could tell them anything you want. Just don't threaten them. Just send your ill will, all the pent-up anger you feel when you hear that somebody in the United States of America has dared to try to start up bigotry again, has dared to attack a group for no reason. You can pour that into that form. And I don't recommend you pour out multiple paragraphs. No, just put in 1 or 2 sentences at a time and send multiple emails. Fill out that form a bunch of times. Generally, F up tomorrow morning for the Attorney General of Missouri. Make that form useless because it is clogged up with people from all around the country who are filling it out and letting them know what we think. With the average American, with the average, in fact, do it from anywhere in the world. Let them know what the average person, the average human being with a heart and a soul, what they think of this behavior. Maybe we'll get an item in the news about it. I'll tell you, if we can get an item in the news saying that this form is being taken down because it's just flooded with people that aren't reporting trans folks on it. If we can get that done, we're going to have a party here. Hell, I'll put it up to the Wicked community what you want to do. If you want to do a road show, if you want to do just an all call-in show, I'll put it up. If we can get that done, that will be the reward over here. But it's its own reward because it's stopping hate from spreading. It's stopping the situation from getting worse. We are going to have a real tense 2023 and a real tense most of 2024. If we want this fight to chill out, to become easier, to become more about the progress we're making and not the regression we're fighting against, also make sure to vote in primaries. Make sure that 2024 is a year we win. I think we're going to just steamroll Republicans. I truly believe that. The degree to which we do will determine the future of the country. America now is ready to deal with reality, is ready to get rid of the Republican Party, is ready to get rid of their nonsense. The rest of the world is either already there, already doing it, or about to join. Canada looks like it's getting fed up with their Republicans. They're about 5 years, as we talked about with the Eager Beaver folks, they're about 5 years delayed from where America is culturally, but they have the benefit of seeing how bad it's gotten in the U.S. Rest of the world has been ahead of the curve by and large. We have people in France already protesting in a way that Americans can take a page out of. I believe truly that the victory for the left, that's inevitable. Our concern needs to be how soon. Do we have to live the rest of our lives fighting these fights? Do our lives have to be shortened from the stress? If necessary, they will be. But I don't think that's going to be necessary. I think we're smart enough. I think we're resourceful enough. And I think we're savage enough. I think we're tough enough. I think we got the gristle, the chutzpah. I think we have the ability to win thoroughly, to win soon, and to demonstrate for the United States of America and to demonstrate for the whole world that the left way of thinking is the way to fix things, is the way to progress us, is the way to make all of our lives better. And to fix the problems that are currently getting blamed on minorities. I believe it. I hope you do as well. Have a look at what the Wicked community has to say. Wireless Mike, I love Beastie Boys. I'll be real with you. All-time favorite song from the Beastie Boys, in my top 10 favorites of all time, Intergalactic Planetary. Ooh, boy. One day, you will see a fella named Dane Kelly appear on this channel. It's going to happen one day. When it does, I assure you, that song will be mentioned. That or Wild Wild West. Lawrence St. Laurent says, these snitch hotlines are insane. Yeah, brother, if you feel like helping us, grab some other folks from your country who by and large appear to be sane human beings and get them to clog up that hotline because it's evil. It's an evil thing we're doing. Leon Chevalier says, America lost it in 2016. Yeah, Sam Cedar predicted this. He said, and I got to tell you, I believed him at the time, but I didn't realize the extent to which he would be proven correct. He said, the Republican Party is dying, but it's going to die ugly, and it's going to die in a destructive way. I mean, you want to know why I'm such a fan of it? I swear to God, he's like Nostradamus. He was correct. He was just straight up correct. That is, I believe, what we are seeing. Lawrence St. Laurent says, I'll get you in the news, Jake. Just lose the 80s look. Oh, baby. This is like Colonel Sanders. This is marketing. But truth be told, it's not even slightly an act. You open up my closet. These are my normal clothes. I go out shopping in this stuff. You can spot a Jake in the wild pretty easily. It's the guy that looks like a 1950s candy salesman wandering around in the real world. Lawrence St. Laurent says, you're a bit too optimistic about the rest of the world. There's been a global backlash against progress. Yes, there has. There certainly has. But the thing is, that backlash, the infrastructure for that was already there around the rest of the world. And here's where I get a ton of confidence about the rest of the world. I didn't used to hear amongst world leaders, I heard it from the rest of the world all the time, but not from world leaders with any sort of regularity, that any of this was the fault of the United States. I realize that the period I'm talking about involves that time when we were murdering another country and people weren't real keen to make an enemy out of the psychopath on their block. But the U.S. has meddled. Let's be real. The U.S. right wing has meddled in the affairs of other countries, often resulting in their utter destruction for most of modern history. And now we are being called out on it on a world stage. The fact that the rest of the world is able to do that and not worry about whether or not the sun will rise tomorrow for them gives me so much hope. I feel like I live in the house of a mobster, like a notorious, unstable, well-known killer. And finally, I'm hearing about detectives investigating them. And I'm like, yes, go, please, quickly, do it, yes. And you might think, why do I want to see someone in my own house get arrested? Because I'm not deciding morality based on where I happen to have been born. Most people around the world are dropping that way of thinking. It's just geography, man. It's a rolling of the dice. The fact that people are treating America the way it should be treated, are demanding apologies where they're due, are talking about the U.S. as the second biggest producer of carbon, yeah, it's a good sign. And yeah, there's a right-wing backlash. But as we're seeing, so much of it is astroturf and misinformation. So for better or worse, I think largely because we are the most irresponsible, we are the most dangerous, so we become the most necessary to know about, because we might turn our insane military to just random things. Because of that, the world is going to see the U.S. as an example of either how to handle this or how not to handle this. But regardless, lessons will be learned. Fascism eventually takes care of itself, I'm sorry to say. If you want to know the unoptimistic reason I'm optimistic, it's for that. It's that the enemy we're fighting here is really not time. And it's not that we have to worry that America will become fascist and stay fascist. It won't. Can't. Fascism simply eats itself eventually. You want an example of an authoritarian type way of ruling that's a slow burn? North Korea. You want a one that's going to be more interesting to read about? Idi Amin. But America's doing this all so publicly and so dangerously that it can't be ignored. So the lessons will be learned. And one thing the right has correct about the left, we do work together. Leon, I feel more kinship with you than I do with my literal next door neighbor. You live an ocean away from me. Why is that? People on the left they're there for the most part because they have reached an understanding that we are all just human beings. We're all really just trying to get through our time on Earth as pleasantly as possible, hopefully making it for something, and that other people deserve the same thing. And with those principles in place, we're going to be friends. We're going to like each other. And we're going to work together. And we're humble enough to learn from each other as well. Sucks, yeah. There's the backlash all around the world. But it's a backlash that is in reaction to definite, inevitable progress. Whether we were ready for it or not, and it turns out we weren't, but whether we were ready for it or not, the information age is here. So just like with the mouse utopia, even if the experiment itself is shameful and ugly and destructive and all, good God, regrettable, we're going to learn from it. Leon Chevalier says, I didn't come from or live in your country, but now would be a good time for America to get its collective shit together. Your biggest battles are internal. Completely. That is correct. Zix says, yeah, but it takes a whole lot of people with it when it dies. Yeah. That is why this channel exists. I think even without this channel or any like it, the fascism would eventually die on its own. But you're right. The purpose of this and all, I think, all that are fighting against the fascism is to, do the Batman at the end of that one movie. And I'll try to get better with pop culture references. Fly the bomb out far away, so when it explodes, it doesn't take a bunch of people with it. We want to get as few people harmed by this as possible. Well, look, I want to grow this thing. I want to buy commercials for this. I want to buy super chats for lefties to try to get them to be willing or unwilling participants in the conversation. I want to make things happen. And we live in capitalist hell. So if you'd like to help me navigate capitalist hell without having to do a backflip every time, consider sending a super chat. Those are immensely helpful. If you don't have $1 in your pocket, don't worry about it. Share the stream. Hit like, subscribe if you haven't. Turn on notifications if you haven't. That's the bell icon by the subscribe button. There's a drop-down box. You hit notifications. Turn them on. You'll know when your old pal Jake puts something out. Support the stream, and I will do the best I can with it. And I'll tell you, I've seen one other person on the internet doing this. And that tells me that this thing is going to be useful. What you can do. It's going to be useful. Because even if never is a financially stable stream, it can still be spotted and the idea stolen with my full consent by a stream that's already up and rocking. In fact, I've noticed people around the internet literally using the phrase "what you can do" in their streams. I saw them do it on the Majority Report the other day. I don't know if it's just something that's out there, if it's that whole red car phenomenon where now you start seeing it because you're thinking about it. But we can inspire others, we can change others, and we can genuinely, with no effort, but probably less effort than you think, we can genuinely change the world. Brazil, America, Canada, Norway, Africa, any of those countries. How about Kenya? We can make changes happen by just trying. Thank you for joining me today. I am now going to figure out how to make any of this into 3-minute chunks. If you enjoyed the stream, please leave a like. I appreciate it very much. This has been WYCD Wicked. That stands for What You Can Do. My name's Jake.